Bonjour and welcome, viewers and students, to Let's Speak French, Parlons Français. These lessons on basic French are short and easy, and if you follow the program regularly, I can guarantee you that very soon you will be able to speak and understand French quite easily. The previous class focused on tonic or stress pronouns. In today's class, we are going to learn about prepositions that are used before the name of a country or a city. This particular usage of prepositions may seem strange. You may wonder why we're learning this. Prepositions are used in front of so many different types of nouns, pronouns, and proper nouns. But why make a distinction when it comes to geographical names and build an entire lesson around it? Well, as you will very soon find out, it all comes down to the question of gender. Every single geographical name that figures in the French language has a gender, and this affects the preposition. So with this short introduction, let's get on with today's lesson, which has been divided into 3 sections. In the first section, I will show you how to identify the gender of geographical names. In the next section, I will present the prepositions that are associated with each gender and the different types of location. And in the third section, I'll provide a text to revise what we learned in today's class. In this lesson, I will introduce various geographical names. Every geographical name that figures in the French language has a gender. It is important to know the gender of a location because it's the gender that determines the preposition which precedes the geographical name. But how do you identify the gender of a location? Thankfully, there are a few pointers that make it easy to distinguish the gender of geographical names. As a general rule, every location, be it a continent, country, island, region, state, province or city, which ends with the letter E, is feminine. Those that end in S are plural and the rest are masculine geographical names. Let's take a look at this table that displays a list of different geographical locations and their gender. La France, le Canada, les États-Unis, la Bourgogne, la Californie. There are a few exceptions, and the only way to remember them is through memorization. Some of them are le Mexique, le Mozambique, le Zaire, and le Zimbabwe. As you can see, the names of these countries end with the letter E, yet they are not feminine but masculine. If you have noticed, I haven't spoken about cities. That is because in French, the gender of cities can be quite confusing for a beginner. Although a city may appear to be masculine, it is often considered feminine. Let's take, for example, the French city called Lyon. Lyon is a masculine word because it ends with the letter N. When an adjective is used to modify the word Lyon, you would expect it to be in the masculine form. But instead of Lyon est beau, one often hears Lyon est belle. If Lyon is masculine, why is the adjective in the feminine form? The reason is that in French, the name of the city is usually linked to the word ville, which means city in French. Although one only says Lyon, one actually means la ville de Lyon or the city of Lyon. The phrase la ville de is not always explicitly pronounced, yet its meaning is suggested. And that is why the adjective agrees with the gender of ville and not with the gender of Lyon. So depending on the speaker's preference, he may choose either a masculine adjective or a feminine adjective to modify a masculine city. So it is common to hear both sentences, Lyon est belle and Lyon est beau, since they are both acceptable. Now that you know how to identify the gender of geographical names, let me next show you the prepositions that are associated with each gender and the different types of location. There are 3 prepositions depending on what we are trying to say that one generally associates with a geographical name. We go to France, we come from France, we are in France. If we want to indicate the destination, we use the preposition to. If we want to indicate the source location, we use the preposition from. And we generally use in or sometimes at to indicate the position with regard to the location. In English, the distinction between the prepositions associated with geographical locations is very clear. But that is not the case in French. This is because the gender and phenomena of contraction and elision must be observed. So now I will show you which preposition is used to indicate a destination. To simplify things, we'll limit ourselves to countries only. We'll examine cities separately. A. Indicate a destination. In French, the preposition a specifies a destination. More particularly, it's the phrasal verb aller à, which means going to, that precedes the destination. So the structure of a simple sentence would be subject plus the verb aller plus the preposition a plus destination. Now when the destination is a masculine country, the phenomenon of contraction takes place. Aller à becomes aller au. For instance, we are going to Brazil is translated as nous allons au Brésil. So whenever a masculine country follows the verb aller, the preposition au precedes the geographical name. Let's look at some other examples. I'm going to Japan. Je vais au Japon. She is going to UK. Elle va au Royaume-Uni. Now let's see what happens with a feminine country. We are going to Turkey is translated as nous allons en Turquie. What we see here is not a contraction but a change of preposition. A changes to en. So whenever a feminine country follows the preposition a, the preposition a changes to en. Let's see a few more examples. I go to China. Je vais en Chine. She goes to Belgium. Elle va en Belgique. The preposition en is also used when a masculine country begins with a vowel. I go to Uzbekistan. Je vais en Ouzbékistan. You are going to Oman. Tu vas en Oman. So the preposition en can be used for feminine countries as well as masculine countries that begin with a vowel. Now let's see what happens with a country that has a plural form. You are going to the Philippines is translated as vous allez aux Philippines. What we have here is a regular contraction of a plus le. When a geographical name that is plural follows the verb aller, it is preceded by the preposition o. Here are a few more examples. I go to the Netherlands. Je vais aux Pays-Bas. She goes to the States. Elle va aux États-Unis. Now let me show you what happens when the destination is a city. In such cases, one simply inserts the name of the city after the preposition a. The phrasal verb aller à remains unchanged. For example, I am going to London. Je vais à Londres. You are going to Barcelona. Tu vas à Barcelone. As you can see, there isn't any contraction or any replacement. With cities, you need not bother about the gender since it does not affect the preposition. The phrasal verb aller à remains as it is. You simply insert the name of the city. So let me review what we learned so far. This table will help you recollect what we just learned. Aller à is the phrasal verb that is used to indicate a destination. The preposition à contracts to o when the destination is a masculine country. If the masculine country begins with a vowel, we use the preposition en. If the country is feminine, we again use the preposition en. And if the destination is a country that has a plural form, the preposition à contracts to o with an x. With cities, things are a lot simpler because the gender of the city does not affect the preposition. The preposition à in the phrasal verb aller à remains as it is. Please note that aller à is not the only phrasal verb that can be associated with geographical names. There are other phrasal verbs as well. In French, the preposition de specifies a source location. More particularly is the phrasal verb venir de, which means coming from, that precedes the source location. The structure of a simple sentence would be subject plus the verb venir plus the preposition de plus the source location. To simplify things, let's consider the same sentences. When the source location is a masculine country, the phenomenon of contraction takes place. Venir de becomes venir du. For instance, we are coming from Brazil is translated as nous venons du Brésil. Whenever a masculine country follows the verb venir, the preposition du precedes the geographical name. Let's see some more examples. I am coming from Japan. Je viens du Japon. She is coming from UK. Elle vient du Royaume-Uni. If the masculine country begins with a vowel, the phenomenon of elision must be observed. The will change to D apostrophe. For instance, I am coming from Uzbekistan. Je viens d'Ouzbékistan. You are coming from Oman. Tu viens d'Oman. Now let's see what happens with a feminine country. We are coming from Turkey is translated as nous venons de Turquie. As you can see, we don't modify the phrasal verb. Venir de remains as it is. We simply insert the name of the country after the preposition. Let's see a few more examples. I'm coming from China. Je viens de Chine. She is coming from Belgium. Elle vient de Belgique. If the feminine country starts with a vowel, the phenomenon of elision must again be respected. The will change to D apostrophe. For instance, you are coming from Spain. Tu viens d'Espagne. We are coming from Italy. Nous venons d'Italie. Now let's see what happens with a country that has a plural form. You are coming from the Philippines is translated as vous venez des Philippines. What we see here is a regular contraction of the plus les. When a geographical name that is plural follows the verb venir, it is preceded by the preposition de. Here are a few more examples. I come from Netherlands. Je viens des Pays-Bas. She comes from the States. Elle vient des États-Unis. Now let me show you what happens when the source location is a city. In such cases, one simply places the city after the preposition the. If the city begins with a vowel, the becomes the apostrophe. Here are a few examples. I am coming from London. Je viens de Londres. You are coming from Osaka. Tu viens d'Osaka. I'll now quickly run through the main points concerning the prepositions associated with a source location. Venir de is the phrasal verb that is used to indicate the source location. The preposition de has three inflected forms: d apostrophe, du, and de. The preposition de remains as it is if the destination is a feminine country or city that begins with a consonant. If the city or the country, regardless of its gender, begins with a vowel, we modify the to d apostrophe. When a masculine country beginning with a consonant follows the preposition, the contracts to du. And if the destination is a country that has a plural form, the preposition the contracts to de. Here too, venir de is not the only phrasal verb that can be associated with geographical names. There are other phrasal verbs as well. In French, the preposition a specifies a position with regard to a location. More particularly, it's the phrasal verb être à, which means to be in, that precedes the geographical name. So the structure of a simple sentence would be subject plus the verb être plus the preposition à plus the destination. When the destination is a masculine country, the phenomenon of contraction is respected. Être à becomes être au. For instance, we are in Brazil is translated as nous sommes au Brésil. So whenever a masculine country follows the verb être, the preposition au precedes the geographical name. Let's look at some other examples. I am in Japan. Je suis au Japon. She is in UK. Elle est au Royaume-Uni. If the masculine country starts with a vowel, the preposition a is replaced by the preposition en. This is not a contraction but a change of preposition. A changes to en. So, any masculine country that begins with a vowel and follows the verb aller is preceded by the preposition en and not a. For instance, I am in Uzbekistan. Je suis en Ouzbékistan. You are in Oman. Tu es en Oman. The preposition en is also used with a feminine country. We are in Turkey is translated as nous sommes en Turquie. I am in China. Je suis en Chine. You are in Italy. Tu es en Italie. So the preposition en can also be used with feminine countries as well as masculine countries that begin with a vowel. Now let's see what happens with a country that has a plural form. You are in the Philippines is translated as vous êtes aux Philippines. What we see here is a regular contraction of a plus le. When a geographical name that is plural follows the verb être, it is preceded by the preposition au with an x. Here are a few more examples. I am in Netherlands. Je suis aux Pays-Bas. She is in the States. Elle est aux États-Unis. Now let me show you what happens when the destination is a city. In such cases, one simply inserts the name of the city after the preposition a. The phrasal verb être à remains as it is. For example, I am in London, je suis à Londres. You are in Barcelona, tu es à Barcelone. As you can see, there isn't any contraction or any replacement. With cities, you need not bother about the gender since it does not affect the preposition. The phrasal verb aller à remains as it is. You simply insert the name of the city. So let me review this last part. Être à is the phrasal verb that is used to indicate a position with regard to a location. The preposition à contracts to o when the location is a masculine country. If the masculine country begins with the vowel, we use the preposition en. If the country is feminine, we again use the preposition en. And if the location is a country that has a plural form, the preposition à contracts to o with an x. With cities, things are a lot simpler because the gender of the city does not affect the preposition. The preposition à in the phrasal verb être à remains as it is. Before we study a text on prepositions associated with geographical names, let me show you a table. This table displays the different prepositions and their inflections, depending on the gender and type of location that follows. Now let's study the following text to review what we learned today. I'm going to slowly read out the text so that you can understand how prepositions are used before a geographical name. The translation of the text is given in the notes. La famille de Jacqueline veut faire un voyage ensemble. Quel désastre! Ils ne peuvent pas décider où aller. Son père doit aller à Casablanca, au Maroc, pour conclure une affaire. Il pense emmener la famille avec lui. Une fois qu'il termine son travail, il veut aller en Alger, en Tunisie et même à Madagascar. Sa mère ne veut pas aller en Afrique car c'est trop cher. Elle préfère rester en Europe. Elle a envie d'aller en Italie et au Portugal. Sa grande sœur désire aller aux États-Unis. Son petit frère veut voyager à la Nouvelle-Calédonie avec leurs grands-parents qui viennent des Pays-Bas. Quant à Jacqueline, elle veut rester à Paris. Elle veut que ses amies, l'une qui vient du Japon et l'autre qui vient d'Australie, passent leurs vacances chez elle. This text has a variety of geographical locations, continents, countries, cities, and even islands. Let's begin by first examining the geographical names that are destinations. The phrasal verb aller à that precedes Maroc and Portugal contracts to aller au because these two are masculine countries. Alger is also a masculine country, but since it begins with a vowel, it is preceded by the preposition en instead. Tunisie and Italy are two feminine countries, so they take the preposition en. Afrique is a continent. Since it ends with the letter E, it is feminine. Continents follow the same rule as feminine countries. So when a continent follows the phrasal verb aller à, it is preceded by the preposition en as well. États-Unis is a country with a plural form. So when it follows the phrasal verb aller à, the preposition à contracts to o with an x. Casablanca and Paris are two cities that follow two different phrasal verbs, aller à and rester à. Since both these phrasal verbs have the preposition à, we simply add the names of the city without making any changes. Two islands figure in the text, Madagascar and La Nouvelle-Calédonie. In French, when the destination is an island, the preposition "à" always precedes the name of the island, à Madagascar and à La Nouvelle-Calédonie. New Caledonia retains the definite article la because some geographical names include the article. This article can be contracted but not removed. For a more detailed explanation, refer to the FAQ section. Now let's examine the source locations that feature in the text. Japon is a masculine country, so when it follows the phrasal verb venir de, the preposition contracts to du. Australia is a country that begins with a vowel, so the preposition de contracts to d apostrophe. And finally, Pays-Bas is a country that has a plural form. So when it follows the phrasal verb venir de, the preposition de contracts to de. With this, we come to the end of our 5th lesson. This lesson was divided into 3 parts. In the first part, we learned how to identify the gender of geographical names. In the second part, we learned the prepositions that are associated with each gender and the different types of location. And finally, in the third part, we summarized today's lesson by studying a text on prepositions associated with geographical names. I hope you enjoyed today's session. In the next class, we'll begin the 4th chapter. The first lesson will be on French negation. I hope to see you in the next class. Thank you. À bientôt. See you soon.